In it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hello, good evening. I heard. Woo, woo. I don't know if that's my phone or somebody else's phone. Was that your phone?
Not mine. No.
Okay, okay. Okay, guys, good evening, and I hope you enjoyed Susan Leaders now. She's got really good head knowledge, isn't she? Really, really good. Okay, tonight, I was going to do another topic, then I thought, oh, he never knows, because I've never contact Mark, right, about what we're going to do. Sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. So, tonight, we're going to talk about forgiveness
Mm.
because sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes, if someone does wrong for us, say like I don't know, if Mark was doing a gig and no one paid him, he won't be an happy man when he expects to be paid. Or if we do wrong to somebody, if we call somebody a name or something, So I want to talk about forgiveness. So, have you ever, if someone's done wrong to you, how do you deal with it? Do you forgive them, walk off, or give them a punch, whatever?
I walk away from that person. I cut them out of my life. I pull the shutters down on the friendship or the relationship, whatever it is, and that's it. I ghost them afterwards. Apparently,
Ghost them.
ghost them. Yeah, that's an interesting word, isn't it? It's a word. I think it's a 21st century word.
So
It,
you just ignore them.
they become persona non grata. It's the only way for me anyway, to deal with it. It's a very difficult thing to do is to forgive.
It
I
is,
think,
though, isn't it?
yeah.
I think you
Mm,
have had loads of things happen to you in your past,
yeah, lots
and
and lots.
and sometimes, how many times in the past have we really, really actually sat down and actually forgiven that person?
Very rarely.
Yeah,
Um, I put more effort into not holding a grudge and not harboring um, resentment, if you know what I mean.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think the whole thing of saying that's it, goodbye, farewell, is the easiest way for me to actually do that. To not have resentment and to not harbour a grudge, because if I've cut that person out of my life, then that's the strongest statement I can make, and I think that's a much easier thing for me to do than to try and
Have you ever
you
done
know
that in your life?
me, yeah, lots of times, lots and
Right.
lots of times. I've done it since I was a small child. If I was wronged in the playground, if you know I mean, I can look back on decades and decades of it, and it's worked perfectly fine for me. um, and and when I say that, it's worked in the sense that I have been able to move on from it. The whole thing of just saying,
Is
go
that
away. And
is that your personal life, or is that due to your work?
no, personal life, like I say, from school right through, um, to first jobs that I had 20 years ago, 10 years ago, you know, and I've done it quite recently. With somebody who I was married to. I just thought that's it, and I wanted nothing more to do with her. I didn't want to hear from her. I didn't want to speak to her. I wasn't interested in anybody's I wasn't interested in my point of view being heard. I wasn't interested in hearing her point of view to me. The thing had ended and nothing more could be said. We didn't have children together. We didn't have a mortgage or anything. We didn't have any assets to divide, that whole thing. We just got divorced, and you know, that's the end of the story. That's the full stop to it. I know that.
Did you end it, or she did?
I did. Right. I walked away, but you see, again, that's how I deal with things. And like I mentioned there, I wasn't interested in putting across my point of view, or for my stance to be understood, or for my voice to be heard. I've never really that's never really mattered to me. And equally, when things get to that point with me, like I say, whether or not it's a relationship, a friendship, or what have you, that's it. I cross a line and there's no looking back.
Do you get to a certain point in your life, or in wherever, whatever happens to you, do you get to a certain point and think, oh, I can't kind of like handle this. I have to go, and because I can't handle it. Do you run away from it?
To a degree, I do. I think running away from it seems a little bit.
All right, running away from your problems then, when you got problems, or.
Well, I mean, it's like if you put a pizza in the oven and it's supposed to be in there for 15 minutes. And you've forgotten about it, and you go 25 minutes later and you're faced with a black charcoal mess. And this is a very flippant way of describing it. It's the only way I can do it. It's a case of, well, I get it out of the oven. I think, my God, what am I going to have for tea? The kitchen smells of charcoal. I sling the pizza in the bin outside, and that's it. I've moved on. And that's what I'm like with people, that it's over, and it's a case of I haven't run away from that pizza. I've just put a full stop to it. It's in the bin, and I've walked away. Running away from it, I don't know what you mean by that. I mean, it's not a case of
it's like some of us sometimes, right? We have sometimes we have a tough time because of things happening in the past. And then we go into another relationship, and it's repeated again. The problems repeated again, and you think, oh, I cannot be in this situation again. I've had enough. I want a divorce, or let's get me out of here quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it would take something very, very, very severe for me to walk away from a person, whoever it is. Certain things I'll put up with, and certain things I will let slide by. I.e., if I've got a friend and I'm having a party, for example, and I'm going to have a night out, and they turn around and they say to me, "Oh, I'm not going because I don't fancy it," sort of thing. To me, that's quite a blow, really, because I don't invite many people to things like parties because I don't generally have them. I'm talking about something that's actually happened to me, but I just let that slide. But one day that person went a little bit too far with something else, and I cut him out of my life. He was my best friend. He was the best man to my first marriage when I first got married, and that was a friendship of 20 odd years. And he did something, and I just sent him an email and said to him, "This is a parting of the ways. Goodbye," and that was it. And I've never looked back or regretted it. And this is quite a sting in the tail, this particular relationship I'm talking about, because a couple of years ago, was it last year, beginning of last year, I was informed that he was very, very ill with a brain tumor, and he wanted to meet up with me to clear the air. He was always wanting to meet up with me, and I says, absolutely not. I'm not interested. Third-party people would come to me and say, this person. And even the fact that he was dying, this might sound brutal, but he did something quite terrible to me. And that was 10 years ago. And for me to have met up with him and to make peace, this sounds really, really brutal and horrible. But
no, carry on. Go on.
That was a friendship that, with a huge betrayal, a very huge betrayal. And I had absolutely no. I felt sad that he was, that he was ill, and all the rest of it. But I didn't feel it was in my best interests to go and see him, because I was just coming out of a terrible period of mental ill health myself, and it would have reopened so many old wounds and everything. And I'd have been dragged back to a place that I'd spent 10 years clawing my way away from. And few people say to me, that's really, really harsh. But to me, he did a wrong. He did an absolutely betrayed me in the worst way possible. And for me, that was that. And he died, like I say, last year, and I was sad about it, but I didn't feel any regret about the fact that I never went to see him or to make peace, because I'd moved on. And people were saying to me at the time, "You will feel regret about this. You'll feel terrible about it." And this was, a year or so ago, and I still to actually have any pang of any regret. Like I say, I'm sad that he died, and I'm sad that he died in the manner that he did. I wouldn't wish that on anybody, really. But
trouble is, so when you've got a best friend who does the dirty on you, it does hurt. I had it done to me. My best friend went off with my wife, and I remember kind of like he kept on visiting. I'd known him since I was 5. We did everything together. We went football together. We kind of, you name it, we did it. Cinema, dating girls and everything, all sorts. And the trouble is, we could tell each other, our secrets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your best friend. Then all of a sudden, he used to come to my house. He came to my wedding, and he'd come to my house, and he was plotting to see my ex-wife and my ex-wife, and they're together now, and they've been married for so long, and but you know what? There's one time where I met him in a club, and I thought to myself, he's not going to get away with it, right? And I'm being careful what I'm saying now, because there's people out, because this is not Christian of me doing it, but the trouble is, at that particular time, I didn't care. It really hurt me. It was horrible, and I ended up doing something to him that do I regret it? No, I don't.
Well, listen, right? Steve, you're a human being before you're a Christian, and those feelings of hurt and resentment, the things that would lead you to having to forgive somebody, to make that choice, those feelings, those feelings that he will have generated within you are human feelings, are human responses. They might not be the best responses. They might not be the most responsible of responses or the most appropriate, but you are a human being, and that's how you felt. So,
do you know something? I'll tell you what happened. So, stood up in the start, and a few weeks after that, I saw him in this club, and he tried running away from me. Right? And the doorman stopped him and said, "Steve wants to work with you." And I said, "I'm sorry for kind of like doing what I did, but I tell you what, I want you to shake my hand, because you did the best thing in my life that you ever done." And he said, "What do you mean?" I said, "I was hurt in the beginning for what you did to me. It's not because you went off with her. It was
mm,
because you're my best friend and you
mm,
betrayed me,
mm,
right? But taking my wife, you can have her, mate. You can have her because she was horrible. Honestly, she was
mm, mm.
horrible. And I tell you what, I know it's not very Christian of me saying that, but she wasn't. She was, she was really bad. But I had to myself, I had to forgive him and her in the end because
Yeah,
I had two children with him. You know what I mean? I had two children, so my children was with her. So I
yeah,
had to kind of like say, okay, because of the children, I had to kind of like forgive and move on.
mm,
And I, I, I go if I go with Michelle now to Blackpool. Sometimes we might see him in the street, right?
mm, mm,
But now it doesn't matter to me. I just walk on and I'm thinking, oh, oh yeah, they're there. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, bye. And that's it. We just walk on,
mm.
And forgiveness is a big thing, though.
It is.
Very,
And
very big.
I wish it was something I could do, and I wish it's, maybe life would be easier, and I wouldn't be forced to make such extreme decisions and choices like cutting people out of my life.
Have you
Maybe
have you kind of like cut people out of your life, then regretted it?
no, never,
No.
never. Um, because selfishly, it's always been the best thing for me, and it's helped me cope with whatever may have happened, whatever may have been done. Like I say, I'm not. People have different. I think people have different values, and people have different motivations in life. And having your voice heard is something that's not particularly of any worth to me. I'm not really interested in somebody hearing my side of the story, or for me to justify why I may have done something to deserve whatever's happened. I don't know. I think forgiveness works for some people because it stops them becoming so chewed up with hatred, resentment, anger. You hear of these people that, especially in America, these courtroom broadcasts where, there's the 18-year-old that's taken somebody's life in a store, shot them, and you'll see the mother of the person that was shot come up and say, "I forgive you," and all the rest of it. And a lot of people think, well, how can you forgive somebody who's killed your child? But to them, it's the only alternative is to be absolutely torn up with absolute rage and hatred, and they can't live like that because hating and being angry and being resentful takes up so much energy, and it's a waste
Mm.
of time. It really is. And my alternative method, like I say, is to just cut that person out of my life as if they were some sort of a tumor or something, as daft and as extreme and as offensive that might sound. But if you remove something which is causing you a lot of discomfort and pain, selfishly, you're going to feel better for it. And it works for me, but it might not necessarily work for other people.
Yeah. So it says here about forgiveness. It says that uh, what is forgiveness and what are the benefits? Well, the good news is that studies have found that the act of forgiveness can reap huge rewards for your health. It can do really good for your health.
Mm.
Do you agree with that?
Absolutely, because again, it's the alternative is having all this negative energy absolutely tearing you apart, tearing your mind apart, causing you stress, causing you unhappiness. So, of course, if you can rid yourself of that by forgiving somebody, because walking away from a person, a best friend, isn't right for everybody. You know, it's so yeah, I think that's a fair thing.
Yeah. Then there's something else here. It says, decide to forgive. We was talking about that just now. Sometimes it's so difficult to forgive people. Um,
Yeah.
some of us, who wants to forgive, needs to work on forgiveness. And the other one is release from emotional, um, just release. So what I'm trying to say about release is sometimes we find it very difficult to forgive people. But if we need to forgive ourselves and work through the actual problem first before we
Mm.
can forgive other people. Do you get that?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
find it.
Well, so that last point there that you've made, I think with what in a broader sense, yeah, that's true. But I think with the whole thing, if we're taking this at a face value sort of thing, where somebody has done you wrong, or the whole thing of forgiving them, forgiving yourself doesn't come into it, does it? Really, that's we're talking tonight about something which is, we're talking about two people. One person has caused the other person discomfort by betrayal or by doing them wrong, and the other person has to, evaluate what they've done and make that decision as to whether or not they can forgive them. I think as well with forgiveness, I place a lot of value on things like loyalty and friendship, and for me to try and find a way to forgive, it's almost like I'm compromising my values, perhaps, by trying to make it okay. And maybe that that might be my problem. I don't know. It's not something I've fully explored. It's like, let's just say, for example, you ran off with my Mrs. Steve. Would I forgive you for that? No, I wouldn't. If I was to forgive you, then I've got, that'd be me trying to find an understanding of why you did it, and try to find some sort of justification, perhaps, to say that maybe you weren't in a good place, or she wasn't in a good place, and these things happen and all the rest of it. But that doesn't take away the fact that it's actually, that it's actually happened. I know there's this thing about I'll forgive, but I won't forget. How does that work? It's a strange one.
Yeah.
Forgiveness.
The trouble is, though, at some point in our life, we can either forgive somebody, or if we don't, and we can forgive somebody or we don't. That's that's the point of it. But I can see what your point of view is. I really do. But with me,
yeah, go on.
But with me is, in my life, I'm not trying to be. Everybody's been through quite a bit. In my life, I've been through quite a bit. I've been kind of like, I've hurt people and they've hurt me.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, someone said to me the other day, they said, Steve, why do you talk to me for? I hurt you a long time ago. And I said, well, that's the past, isn't it? Let's just get on. Let's move on. Life is too short. And seeing you kind of like stand up and be the man and say, okay, I will forgive you. Not only you will feel much better, but the other person will feel much better too, because they know that you've actually forgiven them. It doesn't mean then you've got to be a permanent friend with them. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Again, you see that taking it and looking at it from that perspective, it's all about what you get, from forgiving somebody, because we all want peace. We all want to move on from bad things that happen to us. We all want to put some distance between us and the event. And if forgiving somebody and getting things back to how they were with that person, which I think is the way that most people would be, if that's what works for you, great, fantastic. And maybe I'm not strong enough to be like that. For me, it's easier, like I say, just to walk away and to remove that person from my life, and that works for me, and it's made me a less bitter person. I don't feel compromised in any way. I don't feel like I've been made a fool of. And you asked me if I've ever regretted it, and no, I haven't.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. Okay. Before I go, I just want to leave you with one thing. People in life, we all kind of like have problems about forgiving people. They could do big things, they could do small things, they could hurt you, they could do anything in life. And we all are human at the end of the day. We're not perfect. Some of us can forgive people, some of us can't. And we can deal with forgiveness in all different ways. But at the end of the day, you know, whatever you do in life, you know, just show a bit of kindness to anybody. You don't have to kind of like actually say, you know, I want to be your friend for life. But and if people pop up and you don't want to talk to them, just give them like an eye or a wave, and then move on. You know, bit of kindness goes a long way.
It certainly does.
See you later, Mark.
See you later, Steve. Have a good week, everybody.
Bye bye. Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.